Okay, so we've been talking about measurement. Last Thursday we talked about operations with measurement. Combining in the standard measurement, we had those dual units or more, and we could actually go up to something like 5 yards, 2 feet, 11 inches, plus 3 yards, 1 foot, 8 inches, and we had to work with all three of those units. Of course, we started on the right, worked our way back to the left, just like with any other unit. 11 plus 8 is 19 inches, which is bigger than a foot. That is 1 foot with 7 inches left over. Can't find the 7, we can always just subtract the 12 inches for the 1 foot. 7 inches left. First time we have to carry the 1 foot. 1 and 2 makes 3, plus another 1 is 4 feet, which is bigger than a yard. We get 1 yard out of that. With 1 foot left over. Again, if we don't know how many feet are left over, we can subtract 3 feet in that 1 yard. Give us 1 foot left over, and then we'll carry the 1 yard. 1 and 5 makes 6, plus 3 is 10 yards. But when we got to multiplication, if we were going to do a measurement times another measurement, we did the multiple units if we were multiplying by a scalar. Let's do that first, I guess. Let's do 2 yards, 2 feet, 9 inches, times 3. Work our way right to left. 3 times 9 inches is 27 inches. And remember, we have to figure out how many feet come out of that. Well, 1 foot would be 12 inches. It's bigger than that. 2 feet, well, 2 times 12 would be 24 inches. It's bigger than that. 3 feet would be 3 times 12 would be 36. It is not bigger than that. So we're back up to 2. It is 2 feet. That 2 feet was 24 inches. That would leave us with 3 inches. We'll carry our 2 feet. I've got 3 times the 2 feet is 6 feet, plus the 2 that we carried makes 8 feet. Which again is more than a yard. 1 yard, reverse 3 feet. 2 yards, 2 times 3 would be 6 feet. 3 yards would be 3 times 3 or 9. That's too big. So we're back up to 2 yards. Right, those 6 feet, and we're left with 2 feet. And we'll carry our 2 extra yards. 3 times 2 yards is 6 yards, plus the 2 that we carried is 8 yards. We have 8 yards, 2 feet, and 3 inches. That's our final result. Well, that was one measured value times a scalar or a counted amount. It's saying that 3 is not a measurement. It's just saying we need 3 of these pieces of that first size. How long is the total length? We have 3 of them together. When we looked at multiplying a measurement times another measurement, we had an issue. 3 feet, 6 inches, times 2 feet, inches. We couldn't just multiply those out like that because we'd have, the 3 inches times 6 inches, but we also had to do the 3 inches times the 3 feet, would give us 9 inch feet. It is a unit, but not one that's used for anything anymore. So that would get a little confusing, and trying to combine all those amounts would get to be pretty tedious. So what we looked at was either turning it into all inches or all feet. Turning it into all inches, we do, get back down here. Times 12 is 36 inches, plus the 6 that was there is 42 inches. 42 inches. Here we've got the 2 feet, so 2 times 12 is 24 inches, plus the 3 would be 27 inches. And we have 42 times 27. It's going to give us 1,134. And it's inches times inches, so it's inches squared. If we turned them all into feet, Remember we said this is going to be 3 6/12. We just take the inches and put them over 12 to make them a feet. Make them feet. That's 3.5 feet. 2 foot 3 inches is just 2 3/12 feet. 5 feet. So we multiply those out. 0.5 times 2.25. It's 7.875. Feet times feet is square feet. So both of those are the answers to this problem here. 3 foot 6 inches times 2 foot 3 inches. The question is, what if we can calculate it in inches and we wanted it in feet, or the other way around? What if we calculated it in feet? We wanted to get back to inches. Well, the conversion is not what you might think. Start with that 7.875 square feet. If I multiply by the conversion factor, 1 foot on the bottom, 12 inches on top, 7.875 times 12 is going to be 94.5. That is not 1,134. Multiply by 12 a second time. I do get 1,134. Why did we have to multiply by 12 twice? Well, because this is not feet, it is square feet. That really is 7.875, and then feet, square feet is feet times feet. So when we do our conversion factor, 1 foot on bottom and 12 inches on top, we're only canceling out one of those feet. We'd have to do the conversion factor a second time in order to cancel out the second foot in that square foot. So it's times 12 twice. Well, let's look at this in a little more detail here. They have a rectangle that is 2 feet by 5 feet. Area, as we saw back in Unit 1, is found by multiplying length times width. So it would just be 5 feet, 2 feet, which is 10 feet. 5 times 2 is 10, and we multiply the names of feet times feet makes square feet. However, what if I change this? 2 feet is 24 inches. 5 feet is just 60 inches. If I find the area in inches, 60 inches times 24 inches equals 1,440 squared. Quite a difference. Conversion there, if I divide that out, if I take this divided by that, in other words, 1440 divided by 10 square inches, I get 144 square inches per 1 square foot. Well, where does that number, 144, come from? It actually is from our conversion, our length conversions. 1 square foot find to be a square foot by 1 foot. 1 foot on each side. That's 1 square foot. Well, using what we just did up above, 1 foot is 12 inches. So this square foot is 12 inches by 12 inches. Area, 12 inches times 12 inches is 144 square inches. So 1 foot by 1 foot is just 1 square foot. So 1 square foot is equivalent to 144 square inches. Now, as we look at that, we notice that that is actually related to our conversion for length. 1 linear foot. Now I'm just going to write down linear measure here. Square foot and a square inch are area measure, 1 linear foot equals 12 linear inches, or 1 regular foot equals 12 regular inches, if you prefer to say it that way. Get the conversion for area measurement to square the units for our linear measurement. 1 squared is 1. Foot squared is square foot. 12 squared is 144. An inch squared is a square inch. So 1 inch or 1 foot equals 12 inches. If we square everything, gives us 1 square foot equals 100. I have something that is 1,456 inches. And I want to convert it into square feet. I can still set it up to convert just like I did with my length measurements. 2,456 square inches over 1. And in my conversion factor, I'm going to put square inches on bottom and square feet on top. It's very important, though, that I do square inches and square feet, not just inches and feet. And then I have to remember there's a difference in my conversion. 1 square foot, the 1 always goes with the larger one, square feet. 1 square foot is 144 square inches from up here. The number that goes down here is 144. Square inches still cancel out. 3,456 times 1 square foot is 3,006 square feet. On bottom, 1 times 144 is 144. And we have to divide that out. 3,456 square feet divided by 144, I believe that is 24 feet. 3,456 square inches is 24. Well, we have other units to work with. What if I have something that is for square feet, and I want to know what that is in square yards? It's quite common for us to, for carpeting and flooring, measure it up in feet, but most flooring is sold by the square yard. Oh, 1 square yard, just like a square foot, is defined to be a square, 1 yard by 1 yard. A 1 yard is 3 feet. So that would be 3 feet by 3 feet, giving us an area, 3 feet times 3 feet, or 9 square feet. So 1 square yard is equal to 9 square feet. Now again, you might notice a similarity here to the linear conversion. 1 yard, 1 linear yard is 3 linear feet, or 1 yard regular yard is 3 regular feet. If you want to think of it that way. 1 squared is 1, yard squared is square yard, 3 squared is 9, feet squared is square feet. So it is just taking that linear conversion and squaring every piece of it. So up here, for square feet, we'll put it over 1. Put square feet on bottom going into square yards. 1 square yard equals 9 square feet. Square feet cancel out. 54 times 1 yard is 54 yards squared. Over 1 times 9 is 9. And 54 square yards divided by 9 is just 6 yards. What if we have 4 square rods, and I want to convert that into square yard? Our conversion, well, let's just start setting this up first. Start out with our 4 square yards. 4 square rods. We're going to have square rods on bottom, square yards on top. Now a rod's bigger, so we put the 1 square rod there. How many square yards are in a square rod? Well, we know 1 rod equals 5.5 or 5.5 yards. Rather than drawing out the square and multiplying them out, we can use what we did up above. Each piece is squared. 1 squared is 1. Rod squared is a square rod. 5.5 squared. 5.5 times 5.5 is 30.2. And a yard squared is just a square yard. That's our equivalency. So 1 square rod equals 30 to 5 square yards. Multiply here, the square rods cancel out. 4 times 30.25 is 121 yards. 1 times 1 is 1. So that is just 121 square yards. What if we were talking about volume? What if we had a cubic foot? Well, a cubic foot, defined to be a cube, similar to the square foot. This is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. It's a cube that's 1 foot on all sides, in every direction. That's 1 cubic foot by definition. Well, that cubic foot would be 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches, giving us not an area, but a volume. 12 inches times 12 inches, 12 inches. 12 times 12 times 12 is 1,728. Inches times inches times inches is cubic inches. So 1 cubic foot is 1,728 cubic inches. Now again, that comes from our linear conversion factor. 1 foot equals 12 inches. 1 squared is 1, or cubed, I should say. 1 to the 3rd power is 1. Foot cubed is cubic foot. 12 cubed, or 12 to the 3rd power, is 1,728, and inches cubed is cubic inches. So that conversion does come directly from that length conversion. We just have to cube everything. Or you could just memorize or write it down somewhere. 1 cubic foot is 1,728 cubic inches. It is on your conversion sheet somewhere, by the way. On that conversion sheet that's posted in Blackboard, or that I handed out to you if you were in the room that day, be careful. The comma in 1,728 looks like a decimal point. It didn't photocopy well. Make sure you go and put a comma in there that 1 cubic foot is 1,728 cubic inches. So if I have a box, whatever you want to call it. Let's say it is 2 feet high. Let's give it 8 feet long and 5 feet wide. I want to find the volume of that in cubic inches. Let's just find the volume of it in cubic feet first. It is 8 feet by 5 feet by 2 feet. I guess 80 cubic feet. Let's say we get to this point. 80 cubic foot is our volume, and we realize we wanted this in cubic inches. Well, we can convert it. Put cubic feet on bottom. 1 cubic foot, because cubic foot is going to be larger in it. Unit is 1,728 cubic inches. The cubic foot cancels out. On bottom, it's just 1 times 1 is 1. So that we don't need that for anything. We'll have 80 times 1,008, giving us 138,240. inches. That's 138,240 cubic inch tank, or 80 cubic feet. Here's a calculation I used to do a lot. Let's come back up to this, 80 cubic feet. And let's say I want to know what this is in yards. I used to pour a lot of concrete. Concrete is sold by, they call it just a yard, but it's actually a cubic yard. So you need to get your dimensions all converted into cubic yards for that. Well, this was 80 cubic feet. I want to convert it. I'm getting rid of the cubic feet, so they're going to go on bottom. Going to cubic yards. Now the yard is the larger unit, so the 1 is going to go with the yard. We know that 1 yard equals 3 feet. You have to cube those. 1 cubed is still just 1. A yard cubed is cubic yard. 3 cubed is not 9, but 27. 3 cubed would be 3 times 3 times 3, 27. And a foot cubed is a cubic foot. So 1 cubic yard equals 27 cubic feet. Cubic feet will cancel out here. We've got 80 times 1 cubic yard is 80 cubic yards. Over 1 times 27 is 27. And then we just divide it out. 80 divided by 27 is going to give us 2.963 cubic yards. When we talk about areas, stepping back from the volumes, there is a unit that comes in. It doesn't get used for anything else. It's only for areas. It is not a length or a volume. It is called an acre. 1 acre is equal to 43,560 square feet. Well, that seems like an arbitrary number. But if you recall, a couple classes ago, when we were starting to talk about length, I mentioned that the rod is one of our measuring tools for measuring land area, a surveyor's tool. It was a unit of length. It was that 16.5 feet or 5.5 yards. Along with the rod, we mentioned it, we didn't necessarily write it down, what was a chain? The chain was 4 rods, or 5 times 4 is 66 feet. One bare chain. Squared for 4,356. Notice the correlation yet. 1 acre is actually 10 per chain. That's where that number actually comes from, is those square chains laid out 10 square chains. That's why if you see an acre actually laid out somewhere, it's almost never laid out in a perfect square. It's really tough to arrange it in that way. Most city lots, being a half acre, actually 0.4 acres, are typically 132 feet by 132 feet. That would make them 2 chains by 2 chains, or 4 square chains. Which makes them 0.4 acres. It's a standard city lot. Well, let's look at our metric system. If you recall, in our metric system, we had only our 1 unit of length, called the meter. As we went smaller, we had decimeter. Decimeter was 1/10 of a meter. Centimeter, m, 100th of a meter. We had a millimeter, mm, which was 1,000th of a meter. If we were going larger, we had decameter, which was 10 meters. Hectometer, which was 100 meters. Now the deca and hecto really don't get used for much anymore. Deca was used for land measurement. Decameter, actually, it was a strange unit. Really never did catch on. Kilometer, km, which is 1,000 meters. You'll notice that the conversion between each of those is if we move one spot on the chart, we're multiplying or dividing by 10. From 10 to 100 is times 10. From 100th to 1,000th is dividing by 10. Every spot we move on the chart is either multiplying or dividing by 10. That's what allowed us to just move the decimal point. As we saw, if we had 3,000 centimeters and I wanted to go into meters, I would look at my chart from centimeters to meters. I would move 2 spots to the left. So to do my conversion in linear units, regular length units, I just move my decimal point 2 spots to the left. 23,000 centimeters is 230 meters. But what if it's meters, not meters and centimeters anymore? What if it is 23,000 centimeters squared and converting into meters squared? Well, now moving a spot on the chart is no longer going to be multiplying or dividing by 10. Multiplying or dividing, or moving one spot on the chart is going to be multiplying or dividing by 10 squared, or 100. So each spot on the chart, multiplying or dividing by 100, is going to move the decimal point 2 spots. Sorry, I got a little foggy there for a second. Getting distracted. So to move our decimal point, if we were going from square centimeters to square meters, that is 2 spots on the chart, but each spot on the chart is 2 decimal places. So that's 4 decimal places we have to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.3 square meters. So 23,000 square centimeters is 2.3 square meters. But what if we go to the next step? What if it's not square centimeters, but cubic centimeters? And we're converting it into cubic meters. Well, now every spot on the chart again is no longer multiplying or dividing by 10. It's multiplying or dividing by 10 cubed. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So when you multiply or divide by 1,000, it moves the decimal point 3 spots. So every spot on the chart is now 3 decimal places. So from centimeters to meters is still 2 spots on the chart, but each of those spots is 3 decimal places. So it's 3 6 places we have to go. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If that is 0 to go 6, that is 0.023 meters cubed. Now, if you look at these 3 conversions here, at first glance they look like the same conversion, but done differently because the answers came different. But as you look closely, you see that difference is that it's first one meters, second one is square centimeters to square meters, and the third one is cubic centimeters going into cubic meters. If I have 0.072 square meters going in square millimeters, or millimeters squared. From meters to millimeters, 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. But since this is squared, every spot on the chart is 2 decimal places. So 3 spots on the chart becomes 6 decimal places. I move 1, 2, 3, and then I have to add zeros. So 4, 5, 6. 72,000 millimeters squared. What if I have 0.00092 meters cubed? I want to go into centimeters cubed. Well, on the chart, to get from meters to centimeters, there's 2 spots on the chart, but now it's cubed. So since it's cubed, every spot on the chart is 3 decimal places. So 2 spots on the chart would be 6 total decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got to add a 0. 920 centimeters cubed. The moral of the story here is when we're doing conversions, we have to be very, very careful with our units. We have to look at our units and make sure that we are we know whether we're doing regular units, square units, or cubic units. Conversions change, and we need to make sure we get the right conversions. On quizzes that are coming up, I catch people all the time. 4 square feet go to the square inches. People put down 48. That would be if it was 4 feet would be 48 inches. 4 square feet is not 48 square inches. 4 square feet is going to be 5,576 square inches, because that conversion is 144 instead of 12. So make sure you're very careful of that. Now we saw that in the standard system we had the unit of 1 acre for area. The metric system, we have area. Unit is an R. A-R-E. An R, 1 R. The only place I've ever seen a decameter used. 1 square decameter. Or 100 square meter, which would be 10 by 10, which would be square decameter. Your packet that we passed out last week. Page 237, you've got 25 through 42. And page 265. Problems 23 through 40. Also make sure there are some quizzes out there that we are a little bit behind on. First, there is a new quiz out there for tomorrow, but right now I've only have 1 person that has turned in the quiz from last week, February 17th. So if you haven't done that, make sure you go out and get that done and turned in. And it'll make your grade look a lot better. Right now, every time I enter a new assignment, it figures it into your grade. So it calculates that till it's 0 till it's turned in. So if your grade's a little lower in Blackboard than what you think it should be, that's why. But as soon as we get the quiz done for tomorrow, everything will be current. That should show your true grade at that point. Anybody have any questions for now? Okay, so we have about 13 minutes left. I'll give you that time to get started on your homework. I will be on the network here to answer any questions for you as you're starting to work.